Hey guys, what's up? So we're here to check out Ghost. Her difficulty is extreme, so you can expect that her skills are a bit complicated. However, after doing a lot of tests, what's really messed up is the description of her skills, and it's either that or it's a bug. But anyway, we're gonna go through all of it to make some stuff clear. Let's take it slow and start with the basic stuff that you need to learn in order to use Ghost efficiently. So first is her passive skill. Ghost inflicts Quantum Corrosion to any opponents that she passes through, as you can see in the video. But that's not the only way you can inflict Quantum Corrosion. It can also be done through a number of your skills. As you've seen, there are a lot of ways to inflict Quantum Corrosion. Pretty much anything you do can inflict it. That is besides your basic attacks and your actual ultimate. Now it says on her passive that if an opponent has Quantum Corrosion, it can detonate if you attack him with a basic attack. Or if you inflict him again with Quantum Corrosion. And that's not entirely correct. The basic attack part is fine, it works as it should. It's the inflicting them with the second Quantum Corrosion part that has an issue. As we've said before, there are tons of ways to inflict Quantum Corrosion, but the methods to apply it the second time so that it can detonate is limited. First method is the first part of your first skill. Other than your basic attack, this is the method that you'll most likely use to detonate if you want it done from a distance. Second method is when your shadow from your second skill returns to you and hits the opponent.
Corporate sabotage is really my specialty.
Third method is when you pass through an opponent when you teleport back to your ultimate. This is good for when you do your combos, but we're gonna talk about that later on. Now, this really doesn't matter much since you can easily detonate the afflicted target with your basic attack. But it's still good to know about your limited options when it comes to detonating a Quantum Corrosion through second affliction. Okay, now we're done with that part, but we're still in her passive skill. This time it's gonna be about her basic attacks, detonating the Quantum Corrosion. There are two variations on this one. First one is inflicting an opponent with Quantum Corrosion by using your skills. Now when you do a basic attack to detonate, it will have an increased range, letting you hit opponents that are a bit farther than your usual reach. Second one is inflicting an opponent with Quantum Corrosion by just passing through normally. When you basic attack to detonate, it will still have the same damage, but it won't have an increase in range. Also with this method, you can only inflict Quantum Corrosion once every 1 second. Meaning you can inflict and detonate Quantum Corrosions faster when you're using your skills. And we're finally done with her passive skill. Next is her first skill, Quantum Positioning. This is a blink skill. Ghost launches a device that will damage and slow down opponents on its path. You can use this skill again to teleport where the device is. It's good for chasing your opponents or escaping, but more importantly, it's a great skill to detonate your Quantum Corrosions. You can go first skill to damage and inflict, basic attack to detonate, first skill again to damage and inflict, then basic attack again to detonate. But that's just a standalone combo for your first skill. Since if you're using your other skills, then it's gonna be a bit different. But still, that's the basics. For now, let's take baby steps. Next one is your second skill. Your second skill lets you become invincible for 2 seconds. You also have increased movement speed and you can ignore the terrain, meaning you can pass through walls. You also damage your opponents just by passing through them. And since you have your passive skill, it will automatically inflict corrosion as you pass through. As the skill ends, your shadow will be recalled back towards you. The skill description says, enemies her shadow passes through take damage. The stats in the description says it's the same damage as from your first hit. But again, it seems like that's not the case. Your shadow will only damage opponents if it's already inflicted with Quantum Corrosion. The damage just comes from the detonation from your passive skill. So again, it's either a bug or wrong skill description. Also, for some reason, once you basic attack, after passing through your opponent, the damage from your shadow disappears even though the Quantum Corrosion is still there. But it's still better to basic attack rather than wait for your shadow. By the way guys, remember this is an invincibility skill, not invisibility skill. Your opponents can still see you clear as day as you can see in the video. You're gonna be untargetable by your opponents. Even AoE skills that's placed within your location won't harm you, again as you can see in the video. Now here's the ideal combo for your first and second skill. Use your second skill to turn invincible, pass through your opponent to inflict corrosion, basic attack to detonate, first skill to damage and inflict, basic attack to detonate, first skill again, then basic attack again to detonate. You can add in another detonation if you can walk near your opponent, then do another basic attack. But to be honest, I don't think that's worth it. More so in mid to late games where you have an increased attack speed and attack damage. Also, you have to do it quickly. But anyway, that's only the ideal stuff. It really depends on what situation you're in. And finally guys, on to our last skill, his ultimate. Ghost opens a quantum field where she can be invisible, move faster, and pass through terrains. If you leave the area, all of those effects will vanish. If you attack any opponents inside the field, you will lose your invisibility and won't be able to become invisible again for 1 second. Also, once you use this skill, the cooldown for your first skill will instantly reset. Your first skill will keep resetting every time you re-enter the field. You can press the ultimate again to teleport back to the field. This is a good combo with your first skill. Your ultimate opens up a lot of possibilities when it comes to your combo, and it will really depend on your positioning and the positioning of your opponents. However, here is one example of a combo where you can make use of his mobility that comes from his first skill and ultimate. So let's say you're going for a gank. You can close the distance with your first skill, and it can go like this. First skill to throw the device, and with this, the enemy is already inflicted. Another first skill to close the distance, basic attack to detonate, ultimate to refresh your skill, first skill to mark the target again, basic attack to detonate, first skill to exit the area, ultimate to return to the area and refresh your skill, and at the same time, inflicting the target again. Basic attack to detonate, first skill to inflict, and lastly, basic attack to detonate. As you can see, I didn't choose my second skill. Your second skill can be saved in case you need to dodge any skills or crowd control that your opponent throws at you. You can either use your second skill at the beginning, in the middle, or right after the combo. And there we go guys, and like I said, that's just an example of one of his many possible combos. The point is to know when you can detonate your Quantum Corrosion in order to make full use of your passive skill. And with the stuff that we've covered, I think we're pretty much clear on how her mechanics works. So it's up to you on how to use her skills depending on the given scenario. Also, one thing guys, in the late game when you have those huge critical strikes, attack speed, and attack damage, don't try to stick too much on your combo. Your detonations won't matter much in the late game when your basic attacks become much more OP than your skills. I mean, your skills and combos still helps for mobility and increasing your range. But in terms of damage, your basic attacks itself is gonna be OP in late game. What I'm trying to say is don't miss the chance to use your OP basic attacks just because you're trying to set up a detonation. Again guys, that's only for the late game where you pretty much have all the items you need. Anyway, that's it guys. That was a long ass guide, so we'll do a separate video for her gameplay or highlights. So what do you think of Ghost? Would you use her? Share your thoughts in the comment section. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.